Good morning, and welcome to the Florence Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Sally Watson. It's my pleasure to be with you this morning. I'm joined by a group of foofers who are here today to open our service with Spirit of Life. Shall we start? Music by Jeff Lovejoy. I can't wait till we're together again. So our Zoom gathering tonight, Sunday, will be at 5 p.m. and we hope Reverend Elizabeth will be with us. She's traveled to Florence this particular weekend, so we have her here live for this recording, right? Yay! So yeah, if she can be with us, they can be with us. We appreciate it. The title is this transient or permanent? Love that title. And next week we have Reverend Adrienne Ballou. Don't know Adrienne, but it sounds great. Is she any relation to Cat Ballou from Painted Wagon? Painted Wagon?
Actually related to Hosea Ballou, who is an elder founder of the Universalist tradition.
Really? Okay. Well, she's new to us, but will bring a wonderful message about commitment in their sermon titled, The Little Engine That Couldn't. She sent us, I know, isn't that cute? It's cute. So anyway, if you want to be a part of the recording of that service next week, just be here at FOOF a little before 11 o'clock, like these fine people are, and you can be a part of the community here. We have our annual celebration and vision planning scheduled for April 17th. Reverend Elizabeth, myself, and Karen Hernandez are planning a fun retreat, if you will. It will be virtual, and we may be able to have some people in person here. So just stay tuned for those details, all right? And we hope you enjoyed the spring equinox celebration yesterday, Saturday. Weather was quite challenging, but we always manage, don't we? And also, you all may have received, I don't know, what did we do? We sent out a letter, and we sent out a pledge form to so many of our favorite folks, and we hope that you receive that and will consider your pledge of commitment to us financially for the next fiscal year. And the reason we ask for it in writing is so we can document it, and then we can plan as to what funds we will expect to come in for that fiscal year, and we can plan our year accordingly. So if you would, either send us an email or fill out that pledge form and return it to us. Did I say that right, Ray? Good. And you can follow along today's service with the order of service that was in your e-blast this morning. Any other announcements from anybody else? We've got joys and concerns later, but you know, those kind of boring announcements you want to make now? Okay, good. So let's move on to the chalice lighting. I invite Nin to come forward as we light the flame in our chalice while you light your candle at home. These words are in part a quotation from Theodore Parker with additional words from Reverend Elizabeth. If you lend me your ears, I shall doubtless take your hearts too. That I may not lead you into any wrong, let me warn you of this. Never violate the sacredness of your individual self-respect. Be true to your own mind and conscience, your heart and your soul. So only you can be true to God. In the service of truth and wisdom, for the illumination of our hearts and souls in care and connection. May we light this chalice, symbol of our shared faith. Wonderful words. I invite Catherine to come forward. We've got some joys and concerns. So would you like me to drop the shells for you?
I
would
that
love
very
to drop
much.
shells. Okay. Come on up. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. This is the time of our ceremony where we do joys and concerns. It's kind of our news of the community and how we support each other with that news. So I have a couple that came from this last week when I made the announcement that I needed people for my care committee, for the care committee. First of all, I forgot last week to specifically thank Diane Friedberg for her commitment to our care committee, and it's been there for longer than I've been there. She's been writing the cards and signing our names during this time of sheltering and continues to do so. Thank you very much. We couldn't do this without you. I want to welcome Natasha Krupas, a new friend to our community, Jean Fredrickson, to our care committee. Natasha, as you all know and love, let's put one for her. And though she has recently moved to Portland, would like to continue her participation in our community by joining our team of callers.
Yes.
It's great we don't completely lose her.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And Jean Fredrickson is a new member of our community, and she has been a member of UU congregations in Atlanta, Spokane, and Corvallis. So I look forward to meeting her in person myself very soon.
Yeah. Does she live here in Florence?
Yes,
Oh,
yes she
great.
does.
Great, great.
And she watches us, and so she, stepped forward, and this is a way for her to get to know us.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Jean.
Welcome.
Virtual hug.
Who else has something? Does someone else have a joy and or a concern?
Jay, Raymond.
Okay,
Andy.
lots of people.
Oh, my.
I'll step away.
Hello. I have a great joy. A couple of years ago, I published a book called Meshka, the Wise Woman, where a woman went on a journey to find her voice and her personal power. Well, I've just published another one, the follow-up of that, called Meshka and the Goddess. And it's all about this group of women who find a piece of land, along with a number of refugees, a few thousand refugees. They find a land and they build a new community. And since they're all victims of war, what they want most is to create a community where that will never happen again.
Wow.
And so it's all about how they overcome their differences, because they're all different nationalities and races and religions, and they overcome their difficulties. They try to heal the past and create seeds for the future. They're called the Seeders. Thank you.
Very nice. Drop a shell. Drop a shell everywhere. Jay? You can come line up over here. Like the old days?
Yep. Hello, everybody. I have a little bit of a joy I want to share, is that in the sunny days that we've had, the few that we've had so far, I've been able to spend some time with a neighbor. He's 81 years old, has difficulty getting around now, even though he's got 90,000 plus miles of bicycle touring under his wheels. But we've been building together a second tricycle, because if anybody's a bicycle owner out here knows you can't just have one bicycle or tricycle. So that's what we've been doing. It's very interesting. A lot of philosophy goes on in these little sessions I've been having with him. He's a Christian scholar and author and well-read individual, so it's been a lot of fun, and I wanted to share that joy.
Drop a shell.
Good morning. I want to share that we had our first Power of 8 gathering virtually this past week, and I'm kind of blown away, I will tell you that. Excuse me if I get emotional. But I've been having a challenge with my knee, as some of you know. And prior to that, I was really in a lot of pain. And I had made an appointment with the orthopedic surgeon. I thought, I've just got to go ahead and do this and get a new knee. Well, I got to be the first one in our virtual circle for the Power of 8. And my pain has diminished so far that I'm canceling the orthopedic appointment and I'm going with a local, fairly new acupuncture lady who is also helping me a lot, still taking my supplements, but I'm so encouraged and I'm so grateful for this group. We have 7 in there now. I think we're going to have an additional one. If you are interested in a group like this, we can always start another one. It's called the Power of 8 because there's something wonderful about having that number of people. But I really encourage anybody to read Lynn McTaggart's book, The Power of 8, and she's written a couple of others. I did watch her on the Gaia Network this week doing interviews, and she is an amazing person, an amazing author. I'm sorry that it took me so long to find her. But anyway, Power of 8, love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Shaw. I love being here giving orders. This is so cool.
Hello, I'm Rima, and I am so full of joy and peace because there have been a lot of decisions needing to be made and a lot of changes, and things are moving in a perfect direction. And I am so blessed to be part of this community and to have your support. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Hello, I'm the Reverend Elizabeth Mount. You'll see more of me later in the service. But I just wanted to drop a shell and acknowledge that it has been a really hard year in a lot of ways, I think for me as for many of you. And it is wonderful and joyful to be here in person and to get to be with you all and sing with you all and be together. Thank you.
I thank all of you for this. And will you drop in one more shell, Sally, for all the things we don't know about, all the people we don't know about. But our hearts and our minds are with you, just with our intention. And as Anna talked about this book today, I'm also in that group. I'm going to read a little something because it really applies to what we're, focusing on this month. It's about intention. Intention and commitment to each other's healing and fulfillment. The promises we make to each other carry weight. They give us courage to stand up for each other. There is a power of support and connection that is as necessary to the human spirit as oxygen is to the human body. The most fundamental promise we make to each other, the most basic of our social contracts, is to support each other through adversity. I will be your witness, we say. At every point in our lives, we need to know that someone out there, someone has our back. And I say, this knowledge becomes a larger certainty when we belong to a loving, committed, caring community like FOOF. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm so pleased that the Power of 8 got formed. That was Donna Smith, wasn't it, who suggested that to us, Reverend Donna Smith? And so, yeah, isn't that wonderful? Of the things that have come out of this tragic COVID and this pandemic and this isolation, we're doing pretty good you know, we still have community, however you want to define it. So, and thank you, Catherine, for bringing all that back up. And thank you, Sharon, about the power of 8. So I'm going to share with you a reading, and this is an excerpt. It's titled The Transient and the Permanent by Theodore Parker. In actual Christianity, that is, in that portion of Christianity which is preached and believed, there seems to have been, ever since the time of its early founder, 2 elements. One transient, the other permanent. The one is the thought, the folly, the uncertain wisdom, the theological notions, the impiety of man. The other, the eternal truth of God. These 2 bear perhaps the same relation to each other that the phenomena of outward nature, such as sunshine and cloud, growth, decay, and reproduction, bear to the great law of nature, which underlies and supports them all. As in this case, more attention is commonly paid to the particular phenomena than to the general law. So in this case, more is generally given to the transient in Christianity than to the permanent therein. At this time, I asked Jay if he would focus our camera on our chalice flame as Ray plays the hymn titled Wake Now My Senses, recorded earlier by our own Jeff Lovejoy. After that, we'll be welcomed at the podium with our own Reverend Elizabeth. Thank you.
And so, in a year that has been filled with so much that is hard and that reaches for our attention, we find ourselves clinging to the daily news, to CDC reports, to whether there are more or less cases of a virus each day in order to decide whether we are safe to go out. And yet, in all our years of living, what is permanent is not this virus. What is permanent is that illness exists, that we fear it, then we have a hard time making space for uncertainty and danger and loss. What is here today, what is here in this sanctuary, all of you who are here to look around, is a construction zone. We are in the midst of transition. All things are transient. No one a year ago would have said, this is what our sanctuary will become next year, 5 years from now. Yet what we hold as permanent is that this community needs us, needs a Unitarian Universalist space, liberal religious people bound together in community. In 1 year, or 5, or 10, or 50, we believe that there will permanently be a space for people like us to create justice, to build community, and to support one another in the world. Theodore Parker was a Unitarian minister, and he served in the 1800s in Boston. And if you all remember, I'm sure it was just a couple years ago, you were in high school doing American history. You'll remember that the 1800s were the lead up to the Civil War. Abolition and slavery were active watchwords of the day. Some people thought that slavery would be a permanent condition. Most believed it to be temporary. Theodore Parker believed that in the span of all time, the arc of the moral universe bends toward justice. Parker said this first, even before Martin Luther King. He said, I can see but a little ways, but I am certain that it bends toward justice. So Theodore Parker gathered his people, first 10s, 50s, hundreds. Soon he had 3,000 people each Sunday coming to hear him speak in auditoriums, for there were not churches large enough to hold them. And Theodore Parker told them, what is believed to be Christianity, but is about the particulars, is about whether you're eating the right foods, whether you're dressing the right way, whether you're hanging out with the right people. These are transient. These notions, they change. They are attached to culture. They are attached to what is now. They are fashionable. What we know to be true, what Theodore Parker said, was the scriptures themselves in their details, those are not the truth. The truth, for those who have ears to hear, as Jesus used to say, the truth is what lies beneath, in those human needs being met or unmet. Things like love, things like relationship, things like our covenants, the promises we make to one another, and we do our best to keep. Things like grace and forgiveness of one another. Things like safety and kindness. Each story, Theodore Parker said, that is in the Bible, in its particularities, is but a story. And, heretically, he said, it doesn't matter so much if it is Jesus meeting a Samaritan woman at the well and becoming more just by understanding his own prejudice. If you've not heard the story of the Samaritan woman at the well, Jesus is disinclined at first glance to give this woman help. And she says, "Do not even the dogs that sit beneath the table receive the crumbs." She, in that moment, was more wise than Christ. She said, "You are enacting a prejudice. You are failing to do the kindness you speak of." And Jesus agreed. What is permanent in that story is that human kindness at its base must go beyond our culture, what we have been taught, the prejudices that are instilled in us before we are even able to speak. But Theodore Parker said it doesn't have to be Jesus. It could just as easily be a Chinese folktale. It could just as easily be a story from the Hindu tradition, or even the Native American spiritualities. And the Unitarian Association, newly formed in 1825, said, "We have questions about your theological doctrine, and we encourage you to ponder the matter fully and to resign your fellowship." And Theodore Parker did consider the matter, and then he did not resign his fellowship. He remained a member of the American Unitarian Association and encouraged them to continue growing, to reach beyond the fashions or the trappings of religious hierarchies, of religious beliefs that they currently held, and to think about what was truly meaningful. He also was an abolitionist. He had black members of his church. He kept a pistol in his desk in case slave catchers would come while he was writing to try and take his parishioners as escaped slaves. Theodore Parker deserves our thanks for moving just a bit further along that arc of justice. But as to the here and now, bringing us forward in time and space, what I encourage us to think about, to be awakened to, is that deeper sense that in this year, when we cling to news cycles, it is easy to get caught up that the tragedy of this day, the tragedy of yesterday, the upheaval of last month is the most important thing. In the grandness of time, it will not get even a footnote. And that does not mean that your life is not meaningful. In those moments, there is something underlying. When we notice tragedy, it is our love reaching out in grief. When we are uncertain about safety, it is all of us wishing to be well, hoping to care for the health of one another. These things are not just permanent, they are the foundation of a religious community. This is why we gather, because people need people, and finding the right people makes us better every day. And so, for all of us, the hope that I have, the thing that I believe of each of us, is that we will notice, but not become caught in the ephemera of life. That we will notice if things happen to the computer, but not become caught in that moment. Because sometimes, often, the unexpected happens. And sometimes we can find ourselves drowning in the moment. But as people of a religious faith, as members of a community, what a community needs is a stable foundation. People who hold at their center the common vision, the common idea of what this community shall become. Not in the details of quibbling over paint colors, not in the small bits of whether we're carpeted or hardwood, not in even which class we host in the fall and which class happens in the spring and who gets what room on Saturdays. But that larger sense that this community shall abide and that it shall have a mission to uphold the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to practice justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. All of these pieces that lead us to that interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. That is our Unitarian Universalist faith. That is the mission to which we attach as a community. And then we build. What is it that we do to support each person's dignity? How is it that we hold compassion for one another and encourage equitable treatment? What agreements do we make? What visions do we have? What must we teach one another? What must we learn in order to grow? All of this will be part of building plans, will be part of our visioning, and all of this is a commitment that we are making to one another to grow our own lives together in faith. By this, we find ourselves part of the larger arc of justice, of love, and of peace. May it be so.
And when are you moving to Florence so you can be with us more?
Yes.
That was most excellent. Thank you so very much. So very much. You've touched a nerve for me that I will be exploring on this theme of human kindness. Thank you. You know, this past week on Thursday, I was helping Don Gardner because he's been asking for folks to help with the free lunch program on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I volunteered for Thursdays. Well, I'm telling you, it's a pretty humbling experience when you're sitting inside with a table at the door separating you from them, so they can't come into your space, but you can hand them a ticket to go get a free sandwich at Subway. They understand it, they appreciate it, and they're very humbled by it. But it's a really special experience to be able to say to somebody, would you like a sandwich? And you give them a ticket, and they leave grateful. Do you want some dog food? Do you want some cat food? Do you want some cookies? You don't want those M&Ms? I'll take the M&Ms, okay. So anyway, I say that because there's so much that this fellowship gives. We give in our finances, the more we give of ourselves. We give service to our community, whether it's within FOOF or outside. But right now we're going to talk about that blessed dollar. We're going to talk about the financial commitment. We have a financial commitment to this particular fellowship. If what you are receiving here you wish to give back so we can continue to go forward and do more, we ask you to consider a financial contribution to FOOF. We also ask at this time that you consider a financial contribution, whether it's your dollars to us or your canned goods, non-perishable goods to Food Share. I am certain they need more resources. And so I ask you, who's listening to this out there in the virtual video, to consider your contributions, not only to FOOF, but also to Florence Food Share. And if you'd like to contribute to one or both, you can send a check to FOOF. We're P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439. Or you can go onto our website and donate via the PayPal button and charge it to your credit card, and we'll take care of it. Just let us know how much you'd like to come to FOOF and how much you want us to pass along to Food Share, and we'll be glad to take care of that for you. So think about it, but also think about where you want to give your service. If you're listening to this from Portland or some other place outside of Florence, where do you want to volunteer? Where do you want to give of your UU faith outside to demonstrate what we are all about, and that is about of service. So think about that, and think about us as well as Food Share here. And as we go forward with that, I ask that you repeat after me here in person and at home. Divine love through me.
Divine love through me.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
All that I give.
All that I give.
And all that I receive.
And all that I receive.
I am prosperous now.
I am prosperous now.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
So please know that your contributions will be appreciated and gratefully appreciated. At this time, I invite Raina to come forward. She's going to help us extinguish our flame, as you do the same with your flame and your candle at home. These words are from Brian Keeley. The chalice will now be extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place or your home, and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. I invite Catherine to come forward. We have lovely closing words that she is going to share with us, and then we're going to sing our peace song. So Catherine, come on forward. These closing words, titled Bound by Impermanence, come from Kyle. Is it Kyle or Kylie Johnson?
Hi.
Sure. Kyle Johnson. Okay. Mystery of the universe, ground of our very being. Truly it is said that you make the sun rise and the life-giving rains fall, a lot here, on both the just and the unjust. And in that way, yours is the abounding grace, and we give our thanks. But it is also true that none of us is ever really spared, neither the just nor the unjust. For try as we might, we are still all subject to the challenges of pain, death, and separation, to the inherent impermanence of our material existence. And yet, the fact that no one is spared suggests that neither are we ever truly alone. Since we all partake in this ephemeral reality, so may the fact of our shared human condition foster empathy, compassion, and mutual loving support. May the stories of all those who have gone before us, ordinary flesh and blood people, just like us, remind us of the deep reserves of courage and strength that lie within each and every one of us. And may the transient and ephemeral nature of life compel us to savor every moment, while also reminding us, particularly in our most trying times, that this too shall pass. May it be so. Amen, and so it is.
So
we
it is.
close with the peace song.
Yeah.
Please gather. Come on forward. this Jeff's rendition? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Sing along with Jeff Lovejoy.